Hello and welcome to this open house. Welcome to New Earth Collectives. We are connecting the world through sacred exchange. I am excited to invite new, interesting people to the space and just talk a little bit about what we are and what we do. But before I get started, let me introduce myself. Hello, I am Krisna Omejica. I am Elders of the Sacred Trees, King. I am here and very honored to have received kind of the guidance that birthed this special container. This space is, intended for us to move with more ease into our sovereignty. So today specifically, I'm going to just take some time to kind of talk a little bit about the mission, and then open it up to, exploring ways that we can start community building and actually get our sacred exchange systems going. There is going to be some time as well to kind of touch on some of the things that are happening right now and why it's such a good time for us to move forward with this space. So, New Earth Collectives, we are a private transnational community. We are Earth ambassadors, and we are super devoted to our service to Mother Earth and all of the natural world. And so it is kind of the offering of this space to enact heart-centered sacred exchange economy, one that is rooted in entrepreneurship, and one that is rooted in kind of in our superpower. And we really believe that as we connect people with the resources they need to live a life filled with abundance, we all thrive because we are members of the natural world. And so kind of underneath those laws of nature, we're kind of invoking the equitous nature that already exists, that law of reciprocity that already exists. And so in doing that, we are supporting the evolution of Mother Earth right now as we stand in solidarity with her as builders kind of this new paradigm, this new form of reality, one that's very much rooted in a desire to create a world filled with unity and love. And I feel like so many of us who feel kind of resonance to this vibration of love and unity, sometimes, at times in this colonial reality matrix system, can feel very othered or feel very different than kind of the vibration that's out there in the world. And so this space is very much inspired by the way in which I feel very naturally a part of the fullness of the wholeness of nature when I'm in nature. And it's very much inspired by those ecosystems and awakening the true nature of our being, that we all have natural gifts, and we can use those natural gifts to awaken some of the ancient technologies of our ancestors and the things that have already been created for us by reinvoking some of these systems that are more about sacred exchanges versus commodifying everything with this idea of ownership. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those things, and for folks that do tap into these messages, some definitions around what I mean. So I want to welcome all of the beautiful people who are tapping in on the different streams that I'm that I'm hosting this call today. It really is your space. It's not mine, it's ours. And we are super ready to move forward with creating the newness in the world. So during our call today, as I mentioned, the goal is for us to kind of explore some of the ways that we can take collective action and we can bridge our mission. So For those that are tapping in on the YouTube, I'm sharing our website. For those that are tapping in on Telegram, I placed the website link in our chat. And it's just kind of a reference point for some of the things that I'll be chatting on. But I want to just touch on a few things because these are really important around how do we bridge our mission. Well, first of all, the vision of New Earth Collectives is that we are literally redefining wealth building. And we're doing this in a way that is through collective action, which is really powerful and inspiring in a lot of ways. We're doing this by activating the ancient wisdoms that have existed in the past using the barter system. And we are very much guided by our devotion to Mother Earth. And so our vision is rooted in our purpose, and it's intended that the larger vision is for us to create a frequency at the global level where we are creating a new paradigm of abundance, one that isn't in contradiction to the earth, one that doesn't have to, choose between sustainability and cost point. One that lives very much rooted in harmony with all life systems and their ecosystems because we are a natural part of that. That was our vision. Our mission is to seek the ability to foster a global culture of heart-centeredness, of conscious consumerism, reflected in the way in which we choose to invest, the way that we choose to exchange, and really understanding that those sacred exchanges are a frequency, one that's enacted by our natural talents, or as I like to call our superpowers, which help us build the new earth on this planet of Earth. And it is guided by the four most pillared elementals, the things that are rooted in the very frequency of life on this planet, which are the four directions. And I want to just highlight this small piece because sometimes when we're thinking about how we build networks or how we bridge or how maybe we recruit individuals into our collective for those that want to kind of take on that type of leadership role, these four directions heavily guide the way in which we're going to be bridging and the way that we're going to be networking in taking this collective action. And so I want to just touch on these four directions. So the first direction is kind of the development of regenerative, sustainable, and eco-friendly fair trade sacred exchange practices that are intended to address some of the issues with the pollution in our landfills and the waste, and all ways to disrupt the colonial consumption-driven norms that are very much a part of the current paradigm. So that first direction is that east fire kind of element and direction that inform this, the rising of the new paradigm that is very much about, as I mentioned, regenerative systems. The second direction is the earth element, or the west direction, and it's all about renewal and rehabilitation of natural resources. It's intended to direct us to promoting healthy water and air and land initiatives. So when we're thinking about our collective and some of the individual mission or the ways in which our entrepreneurship is going to support building the new earth, this is a direction that really is about that renewal system. And renewal has a lot to do with really rebirthing the systems. Regenerative does have to do with the rebirth, but it's really the renewal and the rehabilitation that's kind of like addressing some of the things that that first direction is intended to do. The third direction, it has to do with integration. And it has to do with integration of natural law, specifically through the inclusion of indigenous practices or native practices, ancient practices. that naturally promote multiculturalism, that naturally promote collectivism or collective action, cooperative action, and compassionate interactions. And that is going to be the air element, the north element, our direction. That really is kind of integrating some of those other elements that I just mentioned. And last, the fourth direction has to do with building that abundant, heart-centered nation. And that is the water element or the south element, the direction that leads us to really diving into that watery, nourishing, heart-centered way of being. And so I share these directions as part of the initial portion of this conversation because as we think about how we're going to expand, and this call today is intended to kind of be like an open house to come and to learn a little bit about New Earth Collectives and the way that we can expand, really to bridge our missions are to connect these directions. And so I see them very much like pathways in the brain or like the mycelium network, where we are bridging energies and directions and intentions with each other. We have to have a very strong understanding of what our purpose is and what our direction is. You know, how is my sacred exchange business supporting building the new earth? How does it support one of these four directions? And so that's very crucial in terms of identifying what type of entrepreneurial business is part of kind of the system that we're creating within the New Earth Collective. So whether that's you're here still identifying what your entrepreneurial brand is, how you're going to market yourself and or share your offerings to the world through language, right? Through wording and through specific approaches. What's really important is that we are thinking about what motives and interests we each have that really kind of support that bigger system. So as we move forward, as I mentioned, we are a private transnational community, meaning we break the barriers of borders and nationalities. We are all inclusive. We are intended to be a global community. So over time, my vision is to really have a widespread international network of community entrepreneurs and resources that we can all tap into. So now that we kind of talked about, you know, we're devoted to Mother Earth, well, how do we do what we do? We talked about our directions. Well, one of the first ways that we do that is through membership. We have membership so that this can be a private space. At a later time during the open house, I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between private and public. I have talked about that in the past. So like if you're part of this community and you've taken that building my sacred exchange, or what did I call it? Building my sacred business, I think. It's called a little bit differently now, the course, but it is a great basis for thinking about how you can take your natural talents, your heart-centered nature about you, and create a brand, a business, and why it's important. And then working with me one-on-one to really develop your brand and begin to start creating an opportunity of sharing that out with people is important. And then once that's developed, then you can actually join the membership as a business. And once you do that, I help walk you through creating a website or a public facing forum that basically communicates to people that your business is available for exchange and you're part of New Earth Collectives. So something I'm going to transition to talk about now is the sacred exchange, heart-centered focus that we've been talking about. So some of you might have heard recently that there's a lot happening in the financial systems. The stock market crashed in a really profound way this week. There was a very profound lawsuit verdict that has now set precedents for digital currencies to be fungible, which means it is liquidatable, versus some other types of cryptocurrencies that aren't, because the New Earth Collectives community is part of supporting our transition from kind of this fiat-based monetary system that we're using right now into a system that is more connected to the natural ecosystems that which we are. And so sacred exchange is one of them, where we kind of just, that's the new earth. That's the true new earth, is like we take away the middleman, we realize our value and worth, and we exchange goods and services, and we have access to everything because everyone is, you know, standing in their truth and their power around what they want to give the world. And to really be a thriving business, you have to seek ways to fit a niche or a need. You're providing a solution to a problem, or you're providing a resource, or you're providing an approach to something that's going to allow someone to feel more ease, maybe more harmony. There's so many different types of businesses, right? From like artistic expressions all the way to like services like massage or dental care. And so we think about all these different types of skill sets and resources that we might want. One of the first parts of deciding to kind of move from the traditional model of employment and access to resources and quote, quote, money, and moving into kind of this idea where you're an entrepreneur is to decide those things. Firstly, what superpower do I have? What talent do I have? What gift do I want to share out with the world? What is so easy to do that doesn't feel like work, right? That brings me natural bliss because I'm doing it from my heart. Second, how can that offering specifically provide a solution to a problem that exists or a need that exists that you've observed that fit with your skill set? And then third is to decide, how are you going to enter into the market of commerce and begin to participate in this commerce exchange, now utilizing the sacred exchange model, where we're doing it through heart-centered exchange, one that is in harmony with Mother Earth, that's meant to support all those four directions, right? Because it's building the new earth, and support the transition from not needing the median, the middle exchange anymore, to now utilizing something as an exchange, whether that's we're going straight to the new earth methods and we're not even using money or a third party source anymore. Or you still want to participate with others who maybe aren't engaging in the sacred exchange commerce, meaning they're not necessarily part of New Earth Collectives, but you still want to participate. New Earth Collectives has a approach that you can opt into that will allow you to build your commerce wealth to participate in the commerce exchange on a global way. And this is moving to digital-backed assets and using models similar to cryptocurrency. So it's not going to be cryptocurrency anymore. There's some financial reset things that will be happening in the near future. So will they be calling that crypto? Maybe some people will still call it crypto, but really it's a digital-backed asset, meaning that digital currency has something that's backing it up. It's not just kind of like something that was just created out of inflation rates or something. or some of the other systems that are used in the cryptocurrency market. So part of New Earth Collectives and joining as a member is allowing you mentorship through my one-on-one coaching to depending on where you are in your journey, whether that's setting up your heart-centered entrepreneurship business and building your brand, or whether that's you're now ready to really start engaging in the sacred exchange economy, and you want to actually expand your trading capacity and expand your local network beyond this collective, because we're still new and we're still a baby in that sense. But one day we're going to have all the resources you can think of, so we won't even need to participate, because we are actually setting the stage for a larger shift in the world. But in the meantime, part of membership is me supporting you to participate in our digital back currency that we've already started, and that we can either coach you to mint your own token to participate in this digital backed asset community, or participate in our digital back exchange, and then receive some coaching around how to use that, because that is going to be the system of the near future. And that's what we're going to be transitioning to on a global level here in the near future. Near future, I've been receiving this message for the last 2 years, so I'm not really sure when that will be. But I know that all the systems are in place, and in the background, there is a lot of learning about that. So if anybody is interested in learning more about that, I want to encourage you to reach out to me so that we can kind of talk about that in more depth. In the near future as well, as I shift gears, part of our community building is going to be having in-person gatherings. So right now I am planning a spring collectives conference where we'll have panel discussions and vendors and lots of people to commune with, whether that be new perspective members or people who are already part of the collective at that point. So if you're interested in participating, let me know. The location is to be announced. Most likely will be happening around in the LA area, or the San Diego area. And lastly, to kind of wrap up our little open house for the day, and then I'm going to stop recording and kind of open it up for community that are here that do want to ask questions. The last portion is just what can you do to take your next steps? The one thing I want to invite everyone to do is to identify where you are in those stages that I kind of mentioned, around identifying what your brand is, and or already now being fully ready to start engaging in the sacred exchange market, whether that's to officially announce yourself as part of the collective with your brand already built and ready to engage in the digital back asset token exchange, or somewhere else in between. The most important thing is to kind of identify where you are and what role you like to take in the community. Right now, I am in the foundational stages, and once there is 12 core members who are ready to go, we're going to officially kind of launch the collective out for others to begin to exchange with us. And because that will allow us kind of our base foundation of 12 members. So we have a small membership pool right now. And so all of the new people who are interested are going to kind of be like founding mothers and fathers, meaning you're going to be the founders of this collective. And so deciding how you would like to take a role in this expansion and then our networking would be really important. And if you feel called to take on a particular role in supporting our outreach and our growth, please do let us know. This is the time for us to really start coming together and bringing all of our expertise together, bringing our passions together. As I said, we are all in a different place. So the membership and its different tiers are tailored for each individual who might be in a different place. Some of us are really here for ourselves. We are heart-centered people. We're ready to take action in community, and we're ready to engage in our sacred exchange, our entrepreneurship in a global way. While others of us we're already an entrepreneur. We've been walking the entrepreneur path for a while, and now we're ready to start accessing others, community members who are also sacred exchange entrepreneurs, who are going to allow us to really expand our work in a larger, more global way. Whereas the selfie tier is more for individuals who are really just kind of looking to be more of a consumer, versus someone who has like a service or a good that they want to offer to the collective. And then the last tier is someone who is, a leader in your community. You have a following, you have a community of people around you, and you're ready to really build your nation. You're really to build your abundance. And that's going to take your community marketplace to a whole nother level. And that tier actually allows you to, with your membership package, receive a digitized minted token on the Stellar network. And that will allow you to really access the larger global financial world in a big way as we begin to move to that. So for those that are new to kind of this conversation of the financial reset and why is it important for us to even think about this at this time, I want to give you a few words to research. So if you're unfamiliar with Nesara, which stands for, let me see if I can pull up my, let's see. Oh, well, I'm not able to find it, but it stands for National Emergency Recovery Act or something of that nature. NES Nesar Nesara, I believe. And Nesara is a theorized proposal that was proposed back in the 90s, that was a conversation among Congress members, but never officially passed, not to our awareness, meaning uh, the larger community or the larger societal message. So Nesara was kind of a proposal to do away with all compounded and accrued interest. So like if you ever requested for a loan and had to pay interest on it, they would have refunded that or made it to zero. And it also had to do with reforms around the federal banking reserve, around their ability to print money and to give loans, to authorize loans with such high interest rates. And a lot of this came out of some of the, and I'm not a banker, so please don't, please don't quote me here, but there were some financial market crashes that happened in the 90s and again in the early 2000s, and it had to do with loans and people defaulting on their loans. They didn't realize that there was going to be like all this compounded interest added to their loans, and they were like foreclosing on their properties. And so a lot of this had to do with this conversation. So Nesara has been something that for people who have been talking about like sovereignty, they've been talking about this Nesara for some time. Well, do some research on Nesara, because the Gesara Nesara is the foundation, the theoretical foundation for this financial reset that's on its way. Also, I want you to do some research on the Stellar Network. The Stellar Network is one of the digital backed asset token platforms that I am using. And the Stellar Network is connected all the way back to Elon Musk's StarLink technology. And so if anyone knows about crypto or the way that that system works, is we are talking decentralized financial systems. So it is kind of addressing the things that were being addressed in the Nesara proposal around kind of alleviating the power that the banking system has had on people and keeping certain people in poverty and enslavement. And so the bank and the banking system is one, and that has to do with the financial reset. And that has everything to do with what is being discussed now. So the Stellar Network is something else that you can do some research on. And then if you're really interested to know about Trump's participation in all of this, he signed an executive order 13660 during his last term, which actually enacted, like in real time, true laws around the limitations of the banking system. So that's some things are already in place based on his executive order. And that is the reason why there's been some changes to like the printing of money and all of that kind of stuff I've talked about in the past. And that I can bring up at a future time. So do some research on those things, and then do some research on the Space Force. And again, there's an interconnection with kind of a quantum financial system that's going to push us leaps and bounds technologically as a society. Because we're going to be using massive quantum computers to really assist with this financial global system that's going to take place. So those are some things that you can research to learn a little bit more if you're curious around that, which is kind of prompting this change. It's a very exciting time. But those that are not already participating in new ways to exchange resources and build financial freedom and abundance that is in alignment with what the New Earth is all about, is us standing in our sovereignty and living in harmony within the ecosystems of nature and respecting Mother Earth as her children. Those systems are all kind of interwoven with this, because we are moving away from systems that take our power and creating systems that really highlight how much power we actually hold in our ability to create our own systems of abundance and wealth. So with that, I'm going to end the open house forum and wish you back to the next one on the 22nd. You want to invite somebody to listen in. We'll be talking about a few different things. But for those that are here live, you can stay and we can chat and have a conversation. But I thank you so much for tapping in, and I hope you join us next time. Don't forget to reach out to me. You can email me at newearthcollectives@gmail.com. That's NU Earth Collectives@gmail.com.